While researching a full-size bird feeder wood turning project, I stumbled across this idea for a miniature bird feeder, a Christmas tree ornament. It was published in an article by Kurt Wolfclammer in the December 23 issue of American Woodturner. I knew I had to turn it. It's a simple project that you can turn for your tree, or it makes a unique gift. Let me show you how.
Alright, so what would we need for this project? Not a whole lot. You need a square of about 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches, or 50 millimeter square for the two bowls. This is bred from pear. Then you're going to need a blank about 3/4 inch square, or 19 millimeters by about 5 inches long, 13 centimeters, to make the bottom finial, the little top cap, and the center post. In this case, these parts are turned out of a piece of maple. I think the key thing is try to get some contrast between the bowls and the center pieces. And I forgot to mention, you need a spindle scrap, something out of your scrap box, to be able to mount these on, to reverse turn them. So we start by mounting our 2-inch square block with the grain running in the direction of the bedways, spindle orientation, and then we're going to turn it around. Easiest way I found for me is to use a spindle roughing gouge, which is designed to knock the square edges off of spindles, not bowls. Next, we're going to put a tenon on each end. I'm going to use my beading and parting tool for that, but other things will work just as well. Next, we're going to round over the outside. You can use a skew, or you can use a spindle gouge for that. So I'm going to use my 3/8 inch spindle gouge. I'm just going to move this up just a little bit. And first round off this side, then the other. That's good. Get it out. Replace it with my jaws. Square chuck. Now we're going to drill a 1/4 inch through hole all the way through. I find it easiest to put the drill bit in my drill chuck before I put it in the Morse taper. That way I can ensure that I've got it centered, which sometimes happens or you don't. And I don't have to worry about this hitting anything, because the inside of this is smaller than that 1/4 inch drill bit. Slow the speed down. 500, 750, something like that. Chips. Sometimes it stops squealing. I'll put a little bit of candle paraffin on it. And I'm through. And I clean the chips out of the drill bit for next use. Woo! Hot. Hot, hot, hot. Now, 2 inches is the right diameter. 2 inches this way is a little probably bigger than we need. I'm only going to make these bowls about 1/2 inch thick, so I'm going to mark that. And then we're going to go ahead and part off the bottom bowl. So let's use a thin parting tool for that. you go down a little ways, come back and take another part so it won't bind. And then back and forth. Whoop. Couldn't catch that one. Now we need to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to make it about a 1/2 inch, so we got a little extra wood that we don't need. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. And we throw that away. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and finish this little bowl. We've got the outside, but now it's time to hollow it. And I'm going to take, now because it's spindle grain, normally if this was an in-grain box, we'd hollow from the inside to the outside, and I could do that. Open it up maybe toward 10 o'clock. Got a bit of a head cold. And that looks nice and clean. Another option is to use a round nose scraper. Just make sure your tool rest is appropriate so you can have this thing handle up. This will work well. If you have a carbide tool, this is the kind of approach you use to hollow it. There we go. Now, while I've got it, before I take it loose, I probably ought to go ahead and hit it licking a promise with some sandpaper. So let me get out some 120 grit. Just kind of clean up the inside a little bit. And the rim, maybe the outside. 120 is probably going to be fine for the inside, whether it's the bowl or whether it's the roof. If it's the bowl, it's going to have seeds in it. The roof, you're not going to be able to see it. We'll take that one off, set it aside. Deja vu all over again. Repeat for the next one. Press it in. And this time we're just going to use a scraper for the whole thing, just to show you that that works well. Speed up. Handle up. Scraper end down. And a regular conventional scraper is best for this. It's a little more aggressive than a negative rake, so it's a little faster. And we're done with the inside. And that's a smooth cut. I'm not even going to bother to sand it. And we take this off, and now we're going to reverse chuck it. That's going to be a little special trick. Let me show you how we do that. So now we're going to make us a little bitty mandrel, 1/4 inch to fit the hole we drilled in each one. And I could use this, but let me show you how you make one. You save all your spindle scraps, so go ahead and pick out of your box of scraps one that's already got a tenon turned on it, so that makes it real fast, and great use for these little scraps. So it doesn't matter what size chuck you use, find the chuck that fits that spindle scrap. So I'm using my little Record Power SC2 because that was a little scrap I had. Now we want to turn that mandrel to a 1/4 inch, and we want to have it extend out more than a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. To give us an idea, we could use this. We want it to 1/2 inch plus whatever the tenon, so probably closer to 5/8, maybe even 3/4. So we'll just kind of eyeball that a little bit. Not gonna get real fussy with it. And I'm going to use my beating and parting tool, which is Just a great tool for removing wood. And since we're going to have this, the bowl floating over this, we want to round this over to get as good a fit as we can. So let me take this down just a little bit. That'll do it. I use a little 1/4-inch wrench as more of a sizing tool. I don't grind this one down because it's so small to hold. I don't find that comfortable. I just want to size it. And I could do that at the same time as I'm taking it down. Chamfer the end just a little bit, make it easy to go in the hole. Alright. Okay. Now, that's a fairly snug fit. I think it's going to be tight enough for us to go ahead and remove the tenon, and that's all we're interested in doing. Spindle gouge for that. Back, do a little bit of sear spray. Okay, then we'll go ahead and sand that up just a bit. I like to slow my speed down to about half or a third of what I was turning at. Got a little bit of a ring there. I think maybe what I'll do for this one, maybe this will be the top, and I will just put some more rings on it just to give it a little decoration instead of trying to go back and recutting that. Okay, that looks good enough. I could probably touch that up with a, little 240 grit. Or I could go through all the grit. Okay, there's what will be the top. Alright, we're going to use a little friction polish, a little shellac based Aubichon juice or something. Light touch. Okay. And I should probably remount the other one in the top and do it as well. Again, using those spigot jaws, which is going to mount this square in there. Alright, bring up tailstock support here. See if I can get it centered. I'm going to use a skew to round this off. This is so small. Alright, I'm going to make this about 3/8 diameter, 3/8 inch. Let's go ahead and make that point. And there we go. Save some chasing around the shop. Well, didn't have to chase around the shop, but I did have to chase it, so okay. Now we got to turn the piece for the top. Again, I'm going to bring up tailstock support. It doesn't make any difference whether you have the top of the feature toward the headstock or tailstock. It's personal preference. Frankly, most of the time I'd prefer it to be down on the tenon, to be on this end so I can size it. So for the top, that's the way I'm going to do it on this one. Let's go ahead and make our 8-inch tenon. We're going to decide what kind of feature we want on it. I think we're going to put just a little bit of a chamfer on that end, and then we're going to kind of come on down in there like that, and we're going to make it about that long. Need to put a screw eye in it. I tend to prefer a side drilled hole. If I was going to use a screw eye, I would go ahead and have this end be in the top so I could go ahead and center drill that while I was on the lathe. But I'm going to go ahead and mark right there, drill bit. I do that before I finish it, so if I get a tear out, I'm going to go ahead and cut it away. And I can touch this up with a little fine sandpaper while it's on the lathe. Part that off with this tiny little round skew. Works well for some detail work like this. And before I do that, I want to get rid of this scrap on the end here. I don't want that to interfere with two pieces going through the bowl to touch each other. That's the main thing. Whoa! Ride the bubble, ride the bubble, ride the cotton picking bubble. Whoa! Let's see if I can't catch that. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and pull this wood a little further out, but still give it plenty of support. Quarter-inch diameter tenon. Cutting downhill like one big long cove, joining in the middle. Okay. Alright. Now we've got all the turned to pieces. Only thing we got left is assembly, put it together, put some bird seed on it. So that'll be next. We had some 5-minute epoxy into here and then put in a few bird seeds and kind of tamped them down with my finger. I glued a little bowl. It doesn't take a whole lot to assemble and glue this thing together. I prefer wood glue, but you can use CA glue, I suppose. I like to finish the parts as they go, so when I've assembled it, they're all ready. But otherwise, before you after you assemble it, before you put the bird and the bird seed on there, you could spray it with some lacquer or shellac if you prefer. Another great tip, if you have some joinery issues, you didn't quite get the hole big enough, a plumber's reamer can really solve those problems on those small joinery problems. It just doesn't take much, and then that thing's going to fit right in. The bird feeder needs to have a bird. There's a wide variety of types. Let me show you some examples. You can buy them made out of paper from places like Craft Supply USA. Any number of places you can get the resin ones. This one, this one, and this one, this one, this one, and this one that are resin. If you're good with a scroll saw, you can actually scroll saw little birds. My preference is for these turned ones. I just think they're
you know, they're whimsical and they're very easy to make. I've got a whole video on that, so if you're interested, check out that video.
No matter what kind of bird you use, you really do need to put on a little soft metal pin out of wire, because that CA glue by itself on such a small surface won't hold up, and that'll do wonders for the joint.
If you enjoyed this video, you might want to check out the playlist I've got, my Ornament playlist with over 50 videos in it. Your feedback and comments are very important to me, so I'd be very interested in finding out what your feedback is. Which of these do you prefer in terms of the birds? The turned birds or the cheap Chinese ones that you buy? And remember, y'all stay safe and come on back, you hear?